Hey people, John V here from PhoneArena. You're watching our in-depth video review of the Samsung Galaxy Note. This is the same exact handset released not too long ago overseas, actually back in the fall, but this time it's for AT&T here in the States, featuring 4G LTE connectivity, so you get faster data speeds, and it retains its monster form factor, featuring a 5.3-inch Super AMOLED display, making it one of the largest handsets out there in the market, and it's all priced for $299.99 with a 2-year contract through AT&T. So it wasn't too long ago that we thought 4.3-inch displays on smartphones were extraordinarily large, but the Samsung Galaxy Note just takes it to a whole new level with its 5.3-inch display. And honestly, it is exactly one beastly of a phone. It's pretty large by today's standards compared to other smartphones out there. You can tell just holding in our hands here, a little bit difficulty, very wide. So if you have small hands, you're going to have some issues operating the handset, just because you could tell here your thumb's unable to actually encompass the entire layout of the display, so you're better off using two hands to operate the handset. But besides that, the only difference between this one and the international version that was launched back in the fall is the fact that it features an AT&T logo right there. It has all capacitive Android buttons as opposed to the physical home button from before, and the Galaxy Note branding in the back, whereas the original one just had the Samsung. Aside from that, it is your typical Samsung device. Plastic body, it has an accenting chrome trim around its sides here, and it is streamlined by today's standards, still thin, but it's a very wide handset. At first, we definitely felt the overall sheer size of the handset, but after a while, we got comfortable with it. But then again, that's with anything you've used for an extended amount of time. But overall, it's still one solid feeling handset. There's no arguing that we're treated to a generous amount of real estate on the Samsung Galaxy Note for AT&T just because it features a 5.3-inch display, easily dwarfing most 4.3-inch displays out there in the market. WXGA resolution, so that's 800 by 1280 pixels, and it utilizes the Pentel matrix arrangement, but honestly, still very sharp looking, even with fine text, good amount of clarity, sharpness to it, more than legible to the eye, so no issues whatsoever. And it's a standard Super AMOLED panel, not a Super AMOLED Plus like on the Galaxy S2, but nevertheless it delivers all the qualities that we love about Super AMOLED, which is its saturated color tones, its exceptional wide viewing angles, high contrast, but with colors such as white, it has a noticeably bluish tinge to it. But besides that, it's still very impressive looking. Mainly because of their space far away from one another, we didn't have too much of an issue using any of the capacitive Android buttons below its display. Above the display, we find its earpiece and also its front-facing 2-megapixel camera, which is used for taking self-portraits and video chat. Sticking out just a tiny bit, we didn't have any issues pressing down its dedicated power button. Additionally, we could say the same about its volume rocker. It has a good distinctive feel, and the response is also tactile. On its top edge, we find its 3.5mm headset jack and its noise cancellation microphone. Well, on the opposite side, you have the micro USB port for data and charging connectivity. You could also use an MHL adapter to gain video out functionality. You have the standard microphone and the area for the S Pen. Finally, in the rear, you have its 8-megapixel autofocus camera surrounded with this chrome trim, single LED flash, ability to shoot 1080p high-definition videos. On the opposite edge, you have these two notches for its internal speaker, and removing the back cover is very simple. All you gotta do is just lift off like so, and you gain access to its SIM card slot, micro SD card slot, and its beefy 2500 mAh battery. Besides its ginormous size and super large display taking the spotlight, the other unique thing about the Galaxy Note is the fact that it comes with the S Pen, which is referred to Samsung as something more than just a stylus. They don't like to refer to it as stylus. It actually tucks away in the back here discreetly, so it's hidden away from view, and you don't have to worry about losing it just because it requires just a little bit of force to get it out of there. But you could use it just for normal functions, navigating across the home screen, opening up applications, kinetic scrolling, all that fun stuff that you do with your finger. And you could also do some gesture-based movements with it while you hold down the button here. For example, you could access the menu button by doing a swipe up like that. So anytime it acts as if you press the menu button. If I want to go back to the home screen, again hold it down and just do the opposite gesture, swipe down, brings you back to the home screen. And finally, let's say for example, you open up a new page in a separate window, and I want to do a back function. You could execute a back function again by just holding it down and just doing a movement like that towards the left, and it just executes a back function. It's not really all that practical just because you have the functions available to you, with the capacitive buttons, but nevertheless, it's something different. So another cool thing you could do with the S Pen is the fact that you could take screenshots and scribble notes on whatever you're doing on the handset. So for example, let's say you're in the browser, you spot something you want to capture, hold down the physical button on the S Pen and just do a long press on there. You hear the snapshot, it'll automatically launch the editing software here. And from here you could do a bunch of different things. You could actually circle stuff, you could jot down notes, do what you got to do. And the cool thing about it is that with the S Pen, it is pressure sensitive, unlike standard stylus. So if you do something lightly, for example, if we go to a brush stroke here, and we just do something a little bit small here, we can actually it measures the amount of pressure you're applying. So if you do something really firm, you get a really solid color, while if you do it very lightly, you just get a slight light color to it, which is again not something you typically find with most styluses out there. And overall, it offers a lot of functionality, and it's great for taking down notes. Finally, the last thing we'll show you is just the S-Memo application with the Samsung Galaxy Note. Now, it's like a virtual canvas. You could actually draw something, color in stuff, which is pretty nice. We've already shown you the pressure sensitivity of the S Pen, which is great. But you can use it to take notes, if you could do it the old-fashioned way, you could just basically write down whatever you want right on canvas. As an alternative, if you don't like doing that, you have the option to actually use of course, the on-screen keyboard, which is by far the best way to actually type up messages. But as an alternative, you have this option here with the keyboard. Let's show you this here. You just tap the bottom right here with the T icon, and from here, you could just write down what you want, and you could see as I'm writing, it manages to actually register what we just jotted down, and it automatically puts it in text. That's nice and all, but it does take a little bit more time than your traditional way of typing up. Some people will like it, but overall, it's just an additional alternative for you. So here we are again, another day, another smartphone that's running gingerbread as opposed to ice cream sandwich, which is crazy, of course, but nevertheless, that's what you get with the Galaxy Note. It's running the TouchWiz interface on top of Android 2.3.6 gingerbread, so it's much like any other Samsung smartphones out there, like the Galaxy S2 and its clone of variants. It still has all the personalization aspects you find, a lot of widgets, some of them more useful than others, but they do take a lot of space with each home screen, but nevertheless, you have that functionality. And the other thing we find improvement on versus the international versions with the app panel, because before you couldn't rearrange the icons in a grid-like view, so it's in alphabetical order, but this time around you do have that option, which is pretty good. Saying that this version for AT&T sports 4G LTE connectivity, it also gets a different processor at the same time. It's actually a dual-core 1.5 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon MSM 8660 processor under the hood, and it's coupled with 1 GB of RAM. So for most basic tasks, opening up applications, kinetic scrolling, pinch gestures, it's very responsive, especially with the static wallpaper. But unfortunately, with a live wallpaper, you could tell here some choppiness movements are evident here, and so overall, it's a rather sluggish feel, which wasn't too much of an issue with the original GSM version. With the generous size we're given with its display, it makes for a fantastic messaging experience. You have three options available with the Galaxy Note. You have the stock Android keyboard, the Samsung keyboard, and a swipe. But between the Android and Samsung keyboard, we picked the Samsung keyboard, and this is what it looks like, the layout. It looks just like the stock gingerbread keyboard, which is interesting, just because if we go back and go to the Android stock one here, you'll notice it's a little bit more squished. We just like the larger layout of the Samsung keyboard. Either way, it exhibits a really good responsive rate, typing up text very quick and very accurate too, so we didn't have any issues using it whatsoever. One of the main advantages of AT&T's version of the handset is the fact that it features 4G LTE connectivity, but in our testing, we don't have LTE connectivity here in our area, so we strictly use it with HSPA+, but we still love its speeds. We're able to get as much as 8 megabits per second down and 1.5 megabits per second up really quick, and on top of that, its web browsing performance is fluid. You can tell with kinetic scrolling, pinch gestures, maintains a really nice fluid rate, and even with flash content, it has no problems whatsoever. And with its large display too, it just provides more items to be displayed on screen simultaneously. Well, there's something different about the music player interface found on the Samsung Galaxy Note, just because it's the usual TouchWiz one we find on any other TouchWiz-enabled smartphone. So as far as its layout, it's very conventional looking and displays the album cover, track information, on-screen controls. As far as the audio quality with its single speaker, it's definitely strong with its output, but the loudest volume setting, it tends to sound a little bit screechy, but it does offer some equalizer settings to better fine-tune its audio quality. Well, I can't find any other handset better than the Galaxy Note for watching videos, just because with its 5.3-inch Super AMOLED display, it's just the best thing you can look at. The video we have here is encoded in DivX 1920 by 1080 resolution. As you can tell, moving very swiftly, no slowdown or lag whatsoever, but with its Super AMOLED panel in play, it just produces some very pungent-looking colors, very pleasing to the eye, and overall, with its spacious size too, it just makes for the perfect experience. So yeah, it might not offer the best looking photos of any smartphone, but nevertheless we're content by the images captured by the handset's 8-megapixel autofocus camera. They're very pleasing to the eye and more than acceptable. Outdoor shots, sunny conditions, they have average details, but the colors are on the natural side. Indoors though, of course, they're more noisy looking with a little bit soft tones, but the LED flash does a phenomenal job in illuminating the scenery, and overall, our eyes are definitely pleased by the results. Even better, we're thoroughly impressed by the handset's 1080p high-definition video quality. Simply, it's just very spectacular looking, definitely better than most handsets out there. First of all, details are up there, very sharp looking, and it moves consistently at a good frame rate, no slowdown or lag whatsoever, no artifacting too when you're panning very quickly. Audio recording is on the clear side, and it does offer continuous autofocus, so it keeps everything in constant sharpness, and overall, we're very impressed by it. Aside from the stares you'll probably get as you're making a phone call with this beastly phone, we're actually happy that they improved the calling quality just by a little bit over the GSM version that we checked out not too long ago. The earpiece, though, is still a little bit on the weak side, but for the most part, voices are distinctive and clear on both ends of the line. Not too much of an issue comprehending voices, and when switched to using the speakerphone, it is strong with its output, but at the loudest volume setting, we do tend to notice some muffling going on, but overall, still more than usable. Signal strength is really strong with the Samsung Galaxy Note, just because in high coverage areas it displays a sufficient amount of bars, and our time using it didn't drop a single phone call. One of the other bigger surprises about the Samsung Galaxy Note is the fact that it offers exceptional battery life compared to other smartphones. And in our usage, we managed to get close to 2 days on a single charge from its 2500 milliamp hour battery. When you factor in that it has a 5.3-inch display, that's pretty impressive. But we did test it out via HSPA Plus connectivity. With 4G LTE though, you can expect that number to drop, but at least it seems like it would be more than adequate to give you at least a single day of usage, even with LTE connectivity. So if you could overlook the fact that it's just one beastly of a phone, which can really scare some people away, you have a really nice smartphone that excels in many areas. First of all, you have that gorgeous 5.3-inch Super AMOLED display with WXGA resolution, so it's very detailed, crisp looking, it really stands out. You have 4G LTE connectivity with AT&T, so faster data speeds. It's a great device for taking photos and videos, and if you're into gaming, its generous display is also more than adequate for those needs. And on top of that, if you're into the whole taking notes or drawing photos or making drawings, you'll especially appreciate the S Pen that comes with it. It's not something you tend to see nowadays or a lot of with most smartphones. It just offers a unique blend of functionality to its capacity. But beyond that, the best thing about the Samsung Galaxy Note, from what we've been checking out, is the fact that it's a great conversational tool. Everywhere that we took it out to, people were always asking, what is this device, just because of its sheer size. When you think about it, a couple of years ago, 4.3-inch displays were considered extraordinarily large, but nowadays we perceive it to be rather normal. So when we take out the Galaxy Tab, the Galaxy Note with us, it's very impressive just because of its sheer size. People do take notice of that, and that's the beauty about this device. It's a great conversational tool. It'll get people to ask what it is. And when you factor in its $299 price point, $300 2-year contract, it's very fitting for all the hardware and all the functionality you get, and is indeed a very respectable smartphone. So if you'd like to learn more about the Samsung Galaxy Note, guys, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. This is John V. As always, thanks for watching.